Hello, and welcome to Summit Church Sunday Mornings. For everything Summit, visit our website at summitak.org.
Well, good morning, Summit Church. My name is Stewart Langer, and you just got to see my wife. I'm very glad that bathroom humor never stinks, right? So there we go. But I'm super excited to be here today. I am one of the men's pastors here at the church. I had the absolute pleasure to serve here for the last 3+ years. And I actually started up there in the sound booth. Give Rachel a big hand of applause. She's doing a great job. So, um, so I started here as a sound engineer, and that's what she's doing, and she's doing a fabulous job. She has some challenges today because I'm going back and forth between microphones here in a little bit, and we have a wonderful men's group here. So for the guys that are here, for the dads that are here, on Sunday evenings, we meet here at 6 o'clock, and so would love to have you join us. Just don't come today. It's Father's Day. You should spend time with your kids, spend time with your wives, and so don't be here today. But next Sunday we'll be here. Won't be here on July 4th, but then they'll be here after that, right? Okay. So it's kind of one of those weird times, but you will absolutely love the men's group, and I would love to have you come and join in. Just iron sharpen iron. Best thing I can tell you. We get a group of guys together. It's a really good time. And then a couple of years ago, I was invited to join the worship team here. To give you an example here, back in 2022, I had no voice. Satan attacked my voice. So what I said there is, in 2022, I had no voice. Satan attacked my voice, and I couldn't speak, and I couldn't sing. Okay? And so I've been going through a major transition there in my voice, but literally couldn't speak. My voice was just a whisper. And so I was a music major in college. I was vocal, instrumental, and production. I'd been on stage since I was 5 years old, and I started help leading worship at 12. And when I started losing my voice, it was actually a time period before I got sick, and I could see that my voice was weakening, and I didn't know what was going on. And slowly, over a time period, my voice started weakening to the point that I couldn't sing. At the church we were going to at the time, I wanted to try out for the worship team, and I knew that my voice was having trouble. And so I knew that I couldn't do it, and that my range was leaving me, and that I couldn't speak and I couldn't sing the way I wanted to and the way I had been trained. And so at that point, what was going on is all I had was a whisper. I couldn't worship. This is what's going on in my mind. What is wrong? It's not coming back. Now I'm struggling to breathe. I'm short of breath. I can't go hunting. The doctor says it's cardiovascular. It is my heart. It is my lungs, maybe. Multiple tests later, we found out that my thyroid was huge. It is pushing on my esophagus so much that I can't breathe. I'm struggling to breathe. It is stretching my vocal nerve, because your esophagus, your thyroid runs right beside that. And as it swelled and got big, what it did is it stretched my vocal nerve. Think like a guitar string. When we start twisting that guitar string, we start pulling it, it gets all out of whack. And then once it's stretched out of whack, whenever you let off the tension, it doesn't sound the same. Okay? And so that's what's going on with that nerve. It needs to have the right proper tension. And so I was struggling to breathe. It was stretching my nerve. Will it ever repair? Can I trust a surgeon to separate my vocal nerve from my thyroid and not damage it? Lord, help me. I'm scared. I don't have peace. I don't know what to do. I can't even praise. And what's going on in my mind is, who am I? Because you see, I'm a singer. Praise is who I am, right? And so praise is what I do. But now I can't even do that. So I've lost my identity. So what I started to do is I had different playlists in my life. When I say playlist, music list. So I had a list for warfare that would help me get going and kind of, flip my brain and flip my mind so I could get going. And then I had a playlist just to kind of get myself pumped and going. I had a baseball playlist for the boys. We go to a ball game. I'd pop that thing in and we're jamming out going to the ball game. Well, what I started to do is I started to hear songs about healing. And so I created a healing playlist. I tried to make a QR code so we could put it up there for you. If you want that healing playlist, you can come and see me after, or see Stacy. We both have it I'll share it with you. And it is just healing songs. That's all it is. And so I created that healing playlist, and I just started listening to it over and over again because I can't sing. And I just started listening on repeat. I mean, literally just over and over and over again. What I learned about worship, it is not what I do outward. Worship is who I am inward. I am a worshiper of Christ. That's who I am. I am a worshiper of Christ. I can have surgery now because he has this. My prayer was that God would make my voice better than before, and he did. He expanded my range. He expanded my abilities to sing harmony. He expanded also not just that, he expanded my ability to let go on the stage. So before I was so nervous because I was afraid of the performance of it all that I couldn't let go. But now it doesn't matter because it's all God. That's all I do is I worship him. And so I am a worshiper of Christ and I am called. Okay, let's pray. Lord, I thank you for who you are. I thank you that you knew us before we were born, that you have a plan for us. Thank you for being the one true living God. Thank you for loving us so much that you want to talk with us, walk with us, stand with us, defend us, and surround us with your presence. Help us, Lord, to listen to your voice and respond to your calling in our lives. Continue, Lord, to speak over us. Continue, Lord, to help us see and follow your calling over our lives. In Jesus' name, amen. So my story goes way back, right? So I was in church before I was born. All right. So I was one of those kids that would, be asleep on the aisle, waiting for mom and dad to get done at church in the evening because we're out in the Midwest. So you have service on Sunday morning, you have service on Sunday night, you have service on Wednesday night. If the doors are open, you're there, and we were there, right? And so that's kind of how I grew up in church. And so in 1987, I went on my first mission trip. I went to Jamaica, and I'm talking about the real Jamaica, guys. I'm not talking about sandals, resort, sitting on a beach, right? I'm talking about in the middle of the bush, in the middle of nowhere, like the bush here, right? We're talking like bamboo churches, no electricity, dirt floors, right? That's where we were. And so I went on my first mission trip. We were there for 3 weeks in Jamaica. And what I can tell you is your kids are not too young to go. Your kids are not too young to serve, okay? Take them, send them, go with them, okay? It will change their lives. I'm standing here because of the faithfulness of my parents. If they hadn't done that, I wouldn't go, okay? I didn't know any better, so now I know to go, right? So, and so we, as a family, we traveled and sang Southern gospel music. So we were a group called Free Water out of Missouri, and we sang in Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, in the 4 states there. I was singing on stage at 5 years old. And I sang all the way up until my siblings graduated high school. And we traveled all over. We went to competitions and sang. And so we did all kinds of cool stuff with that. But that was our life, was we traveled and sang. And so I was part of that group. I have 3 siblings and my dad sang bass. So, and so we did that. And in 1998, I was traveling, and we went to a little church in Aurora, Missouri, about 15 miles away, called Lighthouse Church. And that is actually where we came home to go to church there. And that's where I met my beautiful bride. And so I've known her since I was 9 and she was 8. I was, I guess, that cute little boy in the youth group, and she fell in love with me, right? So that's what it is, right? We were very close growing up. We were friends, and that's the most important thing for your spouse, is that they should be your best friend. And so I got to marry my best friend, and her mom was my Sunday school teacher, and so we grew up, hanging out together. And so that's how we got to know each other. And so I went on multiple mission trips to Jamaica before we got married. Stacy went to Jamaica after we got married. We also took a youth group from a church that we were a member with in Branson to go to a mission trip and to go to my parents' house and stay with them. They moved there as missionaries after I graduated high school, and were there for many years. And so they left, and they left their kids and their grandkids, and were willing to go and serve, and that's what they did. And so later on, they came home, and they actually lived right beside us. And so I also went on mission trips to Mexico, also went to Montana on some trips and some different things. And every time I would go on a trip, I would leave there going, God, is this the one? And that sounds really weird, but in my head, in my mind, in my prayer, God, is this the one? Is this where we're supposed to go? Because there was always a part of me that wanted to be in the mission field. There was always a part of me that I had a draw to go. But I lived in the Midwest. Stacy and I lived within an hour and a half of where we were born for the first 40 years of my life. Okay? We never moved away from there. My parents literally lived right beside me. When I took the boys to go see grandma, I literally carried infants next door. They were literally right beside us. Before we moved here, Stacy's dad lived with us. Okay, because her mom had passed away and he needed a place to stay, and so he lived with us. So we had grandpa living with us and grandma right beside us. And so we did that for all our lives. We had that white picket fence, Midwest Missouri kind of life is the way I look at it. And that, God has it all under control. But at the end of the day, we're protected by the Bible Belt, right? And so we're protected there and it's very sheltered. And so God started implanting in me is, what am I teaching my kids? What am I teaching them? What am I showing them? Have they got a chance to serve? Have they got a chance to go? Are they doing what God has called them to do? And am I facilitating that in the proper way? So in 2013, Stacey and I, we changed churches and we went to a different church called GCA there. We started there. A lot of our friends were going there and just felt it was time to move. And after we'd been there a couple of months, Stacey, of course, since we have toddlers at that point, is working in children's ministry, right? Because all moms work in children's ministry when they have kids, right? And so that's what she did. And so I was sitting in a service there, and like many out of the Midwest, I was an avid fanatic of the shows about Alaska, right? So like I've watched every season of Bering Sea Crab, right? And Gold Rush and all these different shows, right? And so I still watch them because now I can laugh at them and go, haha, that's not really how it is. But, so we all see those people walking around Fred Meyer that are saying that they're out in the middle of the woods, right? We've all seen them, right? In town. So I was definitely an avid, person about that and always just loved, Alaska. And when I was there in that service, the pastor and a couple of the board members got up and they talked about going to Alaska on a mission trip. My brain just clicked like, whoa, I can go to Alaska on a mission trip? Oh, I'm in. So the pastor there had actually had the opportunity to shoot a beaver while he was here. And so they presented him with the beaver pelts and all that kind of stuff. And so Stacey could tell you, I came back there after service and I'm like, hey, they went on a mission trip to Alaska. I'm going next time they go. And she's like, what? She's like, well, she wasn't in service. She didn't know what was going on. But she's like, yeah, you do you, go to Alaska, right? Yeah, go have fun, And so a year later, in 2014, I made my first trip up here. And I traveled with a gentleman named Michael Cole. Michael Cole is in a show in Branson. Him and his family sing. If you've ever seen the show America's Got Talent, the very first season, there was a young black group from New York called The Voices of Glory. And he was the oldest son on there. And the mom was in a wheelchair. If that rings a bell, you go back and watch it. And so Michael came with me. Well, Michael, he was not very bush-oriented, what I would say. Like I had to teach him how to run a chainsaw. I had to teach him how to run a brush hog, all that kind of stuff. But he had an awesome time. And what we did is we came up here and we worked with an organization called This Generation Ministries based here in North Pole. And they have a camp out there on the Yukon River called Camp Nashi. And it's actually for the native tribes of the villages there in the Fort Yukon Valley there and all those villages there. We boat kids in from up to 150 miles away. And what we do is we take them out of the village. We give them a chance to come into the camp, get out of the village, get away from the things that are going on in the village, get away from the drugs and the alcohol and the abuses and anything like that, and just let them come in and know that they're loved and that God loves them. And that not only that, the God of this earth that created us all can go back with you to the village and he still loves you when you walk in the door at the village. You are not alone. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have so much suicide up here, right? Is that people get trapped and they feel like they're alone, not realizing that this God of the universe loves you every day and that he wants to love on you every day and he wants to hold you every day. He's a part of your life. And so that's what we do at that camp. And so I came up here, got to go to that camp and spend 10 days up here. And when I went to leave, I was sitting there on the Yukon River and crying. And I'm like, because I'm an emotional guy. And I'm like, God, I'm leaving part of myself here. Like, I feel like I'm leaving half my heart in Alaska and I got to go home. But I got kids there. I got a wife. I got a responsibility. I got all this stuff. What am I going to do? And so I felt like I just left part of myself there. And so when I came back, I talked with Stacy about it. And I'm like, man, I think we're supposed to go there. And she's like, yeah, you just keep doing trips. Oh, took my prop away. She was like, yeah, keep doing trips, go have fun, go love in Alaska. It'll be great, But I told her, I'm like, we should go. So we came back and I started looking at real estate, started looking at jobs, that kind of stuff. And then that kind of falls away. And so I thought, well, I'll go back every year. Like, I want to go. Well, 2 years later, I go and I set up another trip and we come up here. And so in 2016, came up here and had a group of guys that came up with me. And we did all kinds of cool stuff. One of the really cool things is I designed the new mill house. And so we moved the mill house back to the back of the camp. I literally sat down on a piece of graph paper and drew it out. And Pastor Ron's like, nope, that's not big enough. Make it bigger, because he's a really big dude. And I'm like, okay. So I made it bigger. And so I made it, now it's 2-story. Actually, if you go out there as a couple, you can stay there. You can stay up on top of it, on top of the mill house. And I designed it where the mills, so if you guys are familiar with like the mills up here where they mill wood, they're on like railroad tracks, right? And so you can take that mill and you can roll it up inside and you can lock up the doors, leave it on the tracks, and the bears can't get to it. And so you didn't have to tear the thing completely down. The next year, you just go out there, you level it, it's ready to go. And so that's the house that I designed that's there. And so you can go there, and it's really cool because I can go back and see the stuff that we did. And so I designed that house. My guys dug the foundation and we milled all the wood for that house, but I didn't get to see it complete until like 2019. 2020 maybe even, when I got there. And so I designed it, built it, but didn't get to finish it. And so in 2018, and so I should say, I left there the same thing, wanting to go, looking at jobs, looking at real estate, thinking, man, wouldn't this be great to go? And so in 2018, we were doing another trip and we had a group of people that went, and there's also quite a few women this time. I think there was my wife and 2 other women that went on the trip. And so I had set up for her to go. I'm like, Stacy, hey, you got to go. You got to go up there, because if you don't go, we can't make this decision for our family. So I need you to go. We've got to decide on this. And so we were praying about it. And so the more I prayed about it, the more I'm like, oh, God's telling me not to go. This is my trip. I'm booking it. I'm the organizer, but I'm not supposed to go. So I was really praying about it, and I talked with Mom about it. And I'm like, Mom, I didn't talk to Stacy about it. Talk to Mom. And I'm like, God, I don't think I'm supposed to go. I think that Stacy needs to go on this trip and experience it without me, so we can make this decision for our family. And so I booked all the airline tickets for everybody for the group, and I didn't book mine. And I didn't tell Stacy. So, and if you know anything about my wife, you can tell she's very organized. Like, she makes list about list, okay? And so she's one of those kind of people, right? And so she's one like just checking off every box, and all this stuff. And we're getting closer to the time of the trip. It was probably in April or so. And she's like, hey, I need to see the itineraries for all these flights so I can make sure everything's laid out. I'm like, Stacy, I got it. Don't worry about it. It's all under control. I got it. So she kept pressuring and pressuring and pressuring. I didn't know how to tell her. And so, but I knew that if I had told her that I wasn't going to go and I was booking the tickets, she would have found a way not to go. But if I booked her a ticket, then she didn't have a choice. And so I went through it, and we laid it all out. And finally, I just handed her the itinerary. I go, okay, here you go. Look through them. So she flips through them, does her thing. She stops, folds it back, and she's like looking through it. She does it a third time. She looks at me and she's like, where's your ticket? Oh, that's when they had our come to Jesus meeting, right? And I had to tell her that I wasn't going. And so we went through that. And so she came up here and led that group, even though she'd never been before, and brought the group up here. And they had an awesome time at camp. And even the ladies had a great time and were able to help out there, preparing the camp for the kids to come. And she had a wonderful time there. And I was in Springfield, Missouri, and I worked in a business where I would take care of a lot of restaurants, so the high-end restaurants in Springfield. So Springfield's about 250,000 people. And I was sitting there in the number one restaurant in Springfield with the owner in a meeting, and my phone rings. And I look down, and it says Alaska on it. It's a 907 number. And I'm like, Pat, I got to step outside. I said, I got a group in Alaska, and if they're calling me, that means there's probably something wrong. And so I need to go take care of this. I said, I'll be right back. So I step outside and I take the phone call. Hey, what's going on? And Stacy's on the satellite phone back then because we didn't have Starlink, right? So she's on the giant satellite phone. You guys know how much those cost per minute. And Ron had handed her the satellite phone to give me a call. And so she's talking to me. She goes, Stewart, she's like, we got to go. She's crying on the riverbanks telling me, this is where we got to go. Okay. So we all have this plan in our lives that we think about, right? We all dream, and I call it the 5-year plan. I'm going to use big quotation marks here, right? So we all have this 5-year plan that we're going to do. Someday I'll go. Man, wouldn't it be great if I go do this? Man, I wonder what would happen if we did this. Man, could this be really cool? Man, maybe we could take our family and go do this. Yeah, maybe God's calling me to do that. Maybe someday he'll open up doors. He'll do it, right? He'll take care of it. So now our 5-year plan becomes a 1-year plan. God said, go. Okay. So now we got to go. We got to make that plan. Now it's serious. Now we got to do it. So we come back, we talk with mom and dad, of course, because they're still living right beside us. And her dad is still living with us. And so we've got to figure out the family logistics of it all. The boys knew nothing more than to live in that singular house their whole life with their grandparents right beside them. The house was built in 2006. Simeon was born in 2006. Stephen was born in 2008. And Seth was born in 2010. All in that same house that I designed and built in Branson, Missouri. So now we've got to leave what we know. Our roots are deep in that area. There's a book called The Bald Knobbers. It's one of the most popular books in the world, highly printed. If you read that book, that is based in Branson, Missouri. My grandma was a Lawrence back in the 1800s. The Lawrences were in there. They were bald knobbers. Okay, like my roots run deep in that area. Okay, but it's time to go. And so we start laying out this, what I call the perfect plan, right? We're guys, right? We're going to lay out this perfect plan, and it's all going to go exactly the way we want it to go. I'm going to start applying for jobs. We're going to get this great job. Everything's going to lay out in front of us. It's all going to be hunky-dory, and we're going to get to Alaska with bells on, and everything's going to be beautiful, right? Right. Exactly. Good laugh. And so I start applying for jobs as we get into the spring of that year, and I get no response. Like months of applying for jobs, writing a cover letter saying what I'm doing. I have a bachelor's degree. I've been in sales forever, and I can't even get an email saying, hey, you're not even any good. Don't apply here again. I mean, I can't get anything, right? And so I can't get a response at all. And so we're coming into March, and Stacy and I had to sit down and really start praying about this because we're moving at the end of the summer. And so we had set a July date to move, let the boys play their baseball season, and then we're going to move after baseball. And so I sat down, and we just literally had to sit there and pray like, okay, God, I know we've told everybody we're moving. Did we really hear? Are you there? Because this isn't coming together. Like, I don't know what to do. Like this isn't working, God. Help me out here. Show me something. And so we started just really praying for it. And at that point, I had 2 jobs contact me and offer me a job. And so I ended up taking a job at Fastenal. That works out really well. I'm still there. I can tell you guys, if you don't pray for your business, if you don't pray for your job, you should. God will bless you. Holy Spirit speaks to me all the time in my job. I took a business that did $114,000 my first year. It was in the red, like bad. Like we're not even paying rent, much less paying people. To last year, in 7 years, we did $1.5 million last year. And this year, we're going to do $2 million when I'm leaving. Okay. And so that's all God, right? And so if you're not praying for your work, how do you expect him to help your finances? Seriously. So just throwing that's a little free book. That's a free one. Okay. So we get everything comes together. We finally go to leave. And literally the day that we're leaving, my dad's in intensive care at the hospital. We pulled into Springfield, Missouri, went into intensive care with all of us to go see my dad because he was having trouble with his lungs, to tell him that we're moving to Alaska. If I didn't go, he'd probably kick my butt, and he probably came out of the bed and done it, right? It was time to go, right? And so we leave. We have all kinds of issues coming. We have flat tires. We get to Montana. We're staying with some friends in Montana, and we found out we didn't have a house when we got here. We drove all the way through Canada knowing that we had nowhere to live. But do you turn around, or did God say go? So we get to Tok, and the flywheel on Stacy's car breaks, and we have to abandon her car in Tok, Alaska, and drive the rest of the way. We stay the night in a hotel in North Pole, right here, and we end up staying with Yolanda Pratt, Ron's wife. And so we didn't want to do that, but we had nowhere else to go. And it's kind of a rite of passage with TGM. But we stayed with Yolanda, and Yolanda's battling cancer, not only that. And so we get to spend about a week with Yolanda in the house, and she helps Stacy find a house. We end up staying we end up getting a house. And then all different kinds of things happen. Again, we have this perfect plan, right? But God has you there for a specific time. And so in December, Yolanda passed away. And so now TGM is in catastrophic failure because now the matriarch of the organization that we are coming here to work with has lost their matriarch. Later on in December, Dallas, her dad, passes away. Actually, in January, he passed away. It was a really bad winter in January, too. And so then we lose our house in February, and we have to move houses. Oh, and then there was this little thing called COVID that happened. So now my boys have just moved houses. They've moved schools. They don't know their teachers, and now they're stuck behind computer screens. Are you there, God? This isn't working. I don't know what's going on. Like, really? Like, this is what we're doing? And so that's just to give you an idea of the start of it all, right? But in all of this, God is faithful. Kind of tired of him giving me lessons about faith, right? Because it seems like it's over and over again. But God is faithful every time. I can't tell you how many times we walked out to the mailbox and there was a check sitting there to help us pay a bill. Or that we needed something and the right thing was right there at the right time. And God put people in our lives up here to get things done. But if we don't answer the call, then what? If we don't step out in faith, then what? If we aren't the example for our kids, then what? The ministry that we do and the ministry work that we've done is our family. It's not Stacy and I, it's our boys too. They go out to camp, they serve, they do all of that, right? How far does your story reach? How many will you touch? Are you willing to go? Are you willing to do? Are you willing to sacrifice? I have some real good friends that live in Kansas, known them for many, many years. We vacation together. They're actually my parents' age. And they were called to the mission field. He's in his 80s now. His wife passed away a couple of years ago. And they were called to go as missionaries. They were up in Canada. They were called to go. And his parents passed away, and he inherited a farm in Kansas. So he went back and took care of that farm. And 50 years later, he's still on that farm. He never went. So, I would tell you is, don't live a life of regret. God has called you to do many things in your life. Don't live a life of regret. See, they never answered the call. So the awesome thing, I brought Steven up here, my middle son. There was a time when I was the tallest in our family. I'm not sure anymore. I'll pretend, okay? But the reason why I brought him up here is I wanted to use him as an example. So this is my middle son here. So the awesome thing is that God is right here. So God is this. He's walking through life like this with you, right beside you. So many people think that they have this Roman and Greek mentality of God, that God is Zeus on the mountain throwing lightning at you. Not the God I serve. One thing, my God's still alive. Zeus isn't. Okay? And God is standing right here with you. There's times that God is doing this. He's saying, go. He's pushing you, right? Okay? There's other times that God is doing this. Come on, dude, let's go, right? He's pulling you along, right? Okay? God's doing that sometimes, okay? Sometimes he's a proud dad. I'm proud of you, bud. Okay, and I am. And so he's a proud dad standing there going, man, that dude's killing it right now. He's doing a great job, right? But always, and I mean always, God is this. He loves you. And he's holding you. And he wants to put his arms around you. Okay? Every time. Okay? Every day. Okay, you good? All right? That's the God I serve. Every day he loves you. Every day he wants to spend time with you. Every day he wants to surround you. Every day he wants to hold you. If you don't have a dad, he loves you. If your father wasn't good to you, he still loves you. Okay? If you're struggling at home and you don't have a spouse that loves you, he loves you. If you're looking for the right one, he loves you. He wants to hold you and carry you and guide you and be with you everywhere you go. I've asked the worship team to come up today for a song that's really been on repeat in my mind lately. It's called Call God. Today, if me sharing has spoken to you, I ask you to respond. That can be in your seat, but some of you need to come up to this altar up here. God wants to speak to you today. There'll be pastors up here to pray with you. I'll come down after the song. If God has been talking to you about getting baptized, get baptized. I have the honor today to preach for Father's Day, but I also have the honor to preach for the Sunday before baptism. Some of you, may have got baptized when you were younger, and you're like, I don't really remember it. And God's really done some amazing things in my life. And I need to show what God has done in my life. Then get baptized. Don't be afraid to do that. Some of you have never been baptized. Get baptized. Okay? So it's really important. Lay it all down. Let God wash it all away. Okay? The best example I ever heard of that was actually from my mom, and God had showed her that she was out there, it was in a dream, and she was baptizing people. And in the dream, she was baptizing a dead person. And in that dream, when she's like, God, why am I baptizing dead people? This makes no sense. And when she baptized that person that came out of the water, they were alive. And that's what God wants to do in your life today. If you haven't laid it all down, he wants to bring you out alive. Okay? So don't be afraid to go out and get baptized. Okay? He has been speaking to you. Promise you. So the call of God in life is permanent. That doesn't mean your position is. I want you to think about that real quick. The call of God in your life is permanent, but that doesn't mean your position is. You're not stuck where you are. God's been preparing you, okay, for all these different things that are going on in life. He's spoken things that no one else knows. He has promised things to you that no one else knows. Don't let your 5-year plan delay what God has said over you. Don't live a life of regret. Don't arrive in heaven well rested. I love that quote from Tim Tebow. If you guys know who Tim Tebow is, he says, "I want to show up in heaven exhausted." So do I. Don't show up well rested. When are you going to act? When are you going to step out? When are you going to serve? When are you going to stop running? When are you going to follow what he has said? He's been enacting a plan over your life since before you were born. You know you can trace it. You know you can trace the steps. You know you can see it. When are you going to make the change to do what he says you are going to do? It's not his job, it's your job. When are you going to make the change? When are you going to lay down and give it all to Jesus?
Thank you for listening to Summit Church Sunday Mornings. Remember to check out our website and social media for everything Summit.